Let's be a mainstay, a refuge. Keep ourselves within a narrow distance, centering the mind and letting it land on the sensations of the breath. Attention feels like it's drawn into the world all week long when we're not meditating. We attend to external objects. I invite you to attend to internal objects. It's not that the internal objects aren't there, we overlook them. We look past our internal objects. We think, oh, it's not right for me to be upset or sad right now. I should cover it up and smile at my workers or my family, friends. This is the moment where what hasn't had a chance to speak has a chance to speak, be loved and be heard. So we create a protective space through veneration to those that have come before us, the spaciousness and wisdom of the Buddha's mind, short chants of protection of sila and the protection of metta. Recognition of our own mortality, and that the Buddha offered a way out. Those are some big promises and some big protections. We might want to be a little curious about what that means for you. So a good attitude is let's give it a go. Doesn't matter how many times you've sat down on your cushion before. Yesterday doesn't matter. Yesterday exists, where is it? Should be able to put it in our pocket somewhere. Carry it with us, but we can't. Should be able to visit it, fondle it. We can't. We reinvent something about the past. We don't have perfect memories. Memory is mostly creativity. We recreate memories. Psychologists and neuroscientists have proven that what we call memory doesn't exist. Computer memory doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist. Even for a computer, though, it's just still a representation, even though it might be more precise, like an image, an exact image. And yet we attempt to build opinions about the world off of imperfect images arising in the present. Then we attempt to get angry when people don't share our views. It leads to strife and war. The past, the invention of the past by the ego, that it can actually access it and have a relationship to the past, is a fool's errand. So we come to our cushion with humility with respect to the past. We drop the past, not because it's a heavy object. It's infinitely light. We've created it as a heavy object. It's not like you have anything to put down. You can't put down the past. You're forced. The past has already been put down. We're holding nothing. between our fingers. The time is now. Can say the same about the future. We all jump into planning, getting ready for this, the excitement for this, the non-excitement for that. It's also something I can't put in my pocket. And I wager you can't put the future in your pocket either. You can put a representation of it. You can scribble a list of things to do. We might not be here tomorrow. We could have another pandemic. Things could fall apart. You just don't know. We don't know. What we spent all this time planning for may never come to be. We just have an imperfect imagination based on an imperfect representation of the past. We calculate how things are going to be in the future. So the future's not a heavy thing. It's something you can put down. Something we all can put down because since it doesn't exist, it's infinitely light. It's not a burden, the future, not a burden, the past. So what burdens, we can easily ask the question, what burdens am I carrying right now? What is perceived as heavy? Something that needs to be taken up, cared for, worried. Predominant thing when we drop the past and the future that appears is the sense of weight in the body. So let's give into it. Let's allow it to drop. Surrender to heaviness in the present moment. Let pulling away of stressful breathing drop into the body. Notice any resistance away from experiencing what is arising here and now. We enter into the body, we kayagata, we sati, we go to the body, we have mindfulness of returning to the body, we slip away and we come back. Until we slip away no more. Keep surrendering to the sensations that are arising, heaviness. What about the changing nature of impermanence, of heaviness? There are lighter aspects in the breath, and heavier, followed by heavier ones. If you follow the breath around from an in-breath down to an out-breath, where is it heaviest? The end of the out-breath or the top of the in-breath? We bring carefulness to the point where the mind touches sensation. Appamado. It's carefulness. It's the quality of attention. When the connection already exists. It's continuous mindfulness, appamado. It's just a quality of wakefulness, alertness, attention, presence, a connection that can translate as a feeling. See if you can note when the mind is touching sensation. Is there like a spark, where you would take a match and light a fire, you start a spark? Is there a glow when the mind's connected to sensation? I invite some silence here to notice mind in connection with sensation. Just focusing on the breath. The mind connecting to changing sensations. I wager you have experienced moments of silent mind, and the mind connects with sensation of the breath. It's the way it is, the way it was for the Buddha, the way it is has been for thousands of years. My mind goes instantly quiet when sensation is present. But I've been meditating for 40 years, so I wager, even just if it's your first time, truly attending. Present moment sensation is a gift. Pulls away from the separateness of the thinker and experiencer, pulls it into what's actually happening. The thinker is always moments behind. We notice, see an object or an image appears in the mind, that image is always milliseconds delayed, and we interpret it, and that's can be seconds or minutes, even before things are fully understood and they're seen. And we react and we talk about it. The thing may be gone. Did you see that? Doesn't exist anymore, yet there's all this commentary. So we are beings that react to the movie in the mind. We're sitting right in front of the screen, reacting to the screen and not the world. This is our chance to pull the screen down, feel the presence of the room we're in. Jump out of the virtual reality, the goggles on our head, images streaming in front of us. Buddha was pointing back to reality. Ukayagata Sati, pointing away from, of course they didn't have virtual headsets back then, but it's a perfect analogy. For how to develop mindfulness, wisdom. The inner world is so tight and reacting to a movie screen. There's almost no distance between our face, so we don't recognize we're identifying with the images we're imagining. We're talking to them, dialoguing with them, angry with them. The opening of the heart begins with connection, dana, setting down the ego, thinking about the needs of others. Begins with the restraint in our precepts, thinking about the needs of others. We're not acting, promoting good behavior, body, speech, and mind. Begins with sensation, field of sensations. It's just happening. You're not, I'm not, we're not creating sensation. It's just happening. I'm not in control of my experience of breathing. I can extend a breath here or lengthen it there, but I'm not in control how it feels, how I might perceive a long breath versus how I might perceive a short breath. That differs from moment to moment. If you're short of oxygen, you might resist short breathing. Etc. Things are constantly changing. The I on this side, there's no this side, but the I thinks it's on this side and the world's on the other. Really, when you travel inwards, when you take the attention, you follow the invitation to go from the outside in, we're maintaining that separation, we're maintaining the subtle ego. But the Buddha said even that needs to drop away. We have to look how we're recreating a sense of I on one side and the world on the other. Even while meditating, we think of the body as our body, sensation as our sensation, perceptions of the body as our perceptions. that way. It doesn't have to be. But just reflect on these are just causes and conditions that are happening. So we can just relax our thinking mind, controlling mind. And just enter the experience as it is. So what is this tension? If you follow it all the way back, the Buddha pointed in two directions. He pointed to the world, pointed to the body that was impermanent, subject to aging, illness, and death. And he pointed back to this middle ground, bhavana, meditation, where we're still creating a subject on one side, and that narrow world of perception, that narrow world of reactivity. He asked us to see the fallacy, the problems, the dukkha inherent in identifying with a virtual world, the blindness, and just seeing the head within the head, the thinking, looking at a perception, creating reaction, creating a new perception, creating dialogue, warmth, dukkha, resistance, strife, war. How could that path lead to peace? How could it lead to calm? What is the way out? What is the way out? You're recreating the same paradigm, subject to object in opposition. It's the opposition that's causes suffering. Subject on this side, object on the other. Perceiver perceiving a perception in the mind, watching the impermanence. Eventually the watcher and the looker to look back. What is it that's landing on images of the body? What is it that's landing on sensation? What is this experience? We invite curiosity, investigation into our mindfulness. Quality, a new carefulness, to return to that word, appamada. We know how easy it is to fall into that narrow reactivity between thought and perception, made up perception, and made up thoughts, made up reactivity, desire to control. So we want to be careful. We know there's danger, adinawa, danger down the road that leads to strife and war and conflict and violence. We know we've been caught up before. We grow disenchanted and dispassionate. Viraga with this world. So what is the way out? Slowness. slow things down when we can. Stop jumping into the busyness of what's next. Start by losing the delusion of past and future. We enter present moment. We choose to see reality as it is and our participation in it. We connect inside. We accept presently occurring reality. It's a gift. Resistance just sets up the old paradigm, subject, object, control, ego on this side, the world on the other. We hunted out, literally, the Buddha used strong language to look for the very last remnants of opposition. We slay anger, as the Buddha said. We look for Paticasanya. We cultivate a perception of looking for irritation and resistance patterns. The deepest resistance is this sense of an eternal self that sets itself up against the world. We can go looking for it. We're invited to look for a permanent self, but we all end up just finding impermanent, arising this perception and that perception, this memory, that memory, this thought, that thought. You can investigate the world, the body, contemplate the mystery of death. What keeps us in fear of death? The attachment that this is my body. Looking at what this attachment is founded on. So we go deeper into presence. We question everywhere the mind lands. And the mind is filled with unlimitlessness, no limits, spaciousness, awareness. Doesn't need to land anywhere. It holds itself. We can look for that deeper sense of pure knowing, beyond the knowing of the world. We can keep the mind aloft, not landing. We're entering closer to the doors of Nibbana. This space of awareness. It only knows itself. We can investigate it in our 6 doors of knowing things. Listen for the silence that surrounds all sound. Heard a bird chirp, just rose out of nowhere. I didn't make it happen. Nor did you. It's just happening on its own. It doesn't change the silence. It doesn't leave a trace. It's a pure occurrence in the world, as all things are. It's our mind that creates a story of, don't like the sound of the phone. I just drove by. It disturbs my peace. Peace itself is never disturbed. There's no I that is the peace until it recognizes that peace itself is not disturbed by any sound. It's unmarred, untouched. And so then, that emptiness, and that is truly seen as it is, that silence, the empty of sound, holds the sound. The world fills up with a kind of freshness in sound. Sounds arise here. There's no here on one side and no heard on the other. When everything is just sound and everything is just heard, it's fully present, it's fully awake. It's an act of alertness that doesn't come from an ego trying to attain nirvana. It's a glimpse into the deepest reality. Sometimes the sound will feel like it's in your heart, as if there's no distance between the world and you anymore. You could call it zero distance. There's only connection, there's only intimacy. That's the world the Buddha was pointing us to. This is what the world is experienced like when the perception of anatta, not self, is cultivated. There's true clarity there. Images might arise in the mind. You can do this later on when the eyes are open, just images appear and disappear. The fabric of what is being looked at doesn't change. Images arise out of nowhere. We can advert attention to them for a moment, but we can't hold them there forever. They arise out of nowhere. Images become friendly because there's no distance, there's no home here where they land. The home is where they're at, and what is happening. That's true homelessness. Monks give up the livelihood as a layperson to experience this homelessness. The true homelessness is in the mind. No longer putting your home in your ego on this side and the world on that side. True home is presence, which is nothing. It's an empty space, just like the sound of silence, untouched by the sound that arises. We can investigate all six senses. So I'll take a moment of silence and continue this investigation together, supporting each other. What is trying to come through and land in the world and identify with it? How is it going about doing that? Where is it coming from and where is it going back to? To concentrate the mind in investigation, you can ask the question, where am I? Bhante Gunaratana and Bhante Panyavansara love the word nowhere. Where am I? Nowhere. You change the letters around, the same letters become now here. So we can work between now here and nowhere till we can find the answer. Buddha taught a guided meditation over and over. 16 steps. Even long. The first 12 all lead to calming the body and the mind. Kind of symphony of energy. They all lead to the stilling of bodily formations in the in-breath and the out-breath. So the breath gets quiet. The mind slows down and quiet. Becomes still and open. And the Buddha leads us into breathing in, reflecting on impermanence, changing nature, unreliability of phenomena, present moment phenomena. It's just popping bubbles of sensation, disappearing, appearing, rapid fire. We call that the breath. We dare to put a label, my breath, on something so ephemeral, so rapid, appearing and disappearing. We really let that insight settle in with each breath. We breathe in, we see how flimsy the world of my and mine is. We let that settle in until it feels like the ground falls out. We really let that settle in when we breathe in, when we breathe out. Sound too might arise. How flimsy the thing it is. Nothing. Shimmer into nothing, to silence. Radical disappearance of reality. Each moment radically disappears and dies. We are knowers of death when we know the present moment. The mind is radically dying every moment. And radically reborn and supported in the present moment. The present moment is a gift that saves us each millisecond. The interpretations of this is bad, I want to run, those are false too. They pull us away. We reject the gift of the present moment. The invitation is to accept the gift of the present moment. This leads to taking a step away, Vibhava. So we breathe in, knowing that we can't build a home on sensation in the breath. Can't build a home anywhere but in the radically dying and radically reborn present moment. Investigate where the mind lands. You realize it can't land, it never really lands. It's radically free. And so the Buddha invites us in the last step is to contemplate release. We breathe in, knowing that the mind is released from landing anywhere. Finding home, it is home. It can't cling. That's avijja. believing that the mind has to cling somewhere, create attachments. We might be all radically traumatized by our own true nature, so we never look at it. We're afraid maybe of this vast open space. But therein lies the quest to open back to that original trauma, accept it. See the world arising as a gift, as a blessing, whether it's clothed in beautiful things, dressed down, crummy. It's a gift, and so we connect with it as a gift. And there's only one thing to do but to embrace it. Become one with the present. It's truly bringing impermanence into our lives. Don't become one and eternal, but become one and dying and changing, evolving, never really there, nor here, nor not there. This is what the Buddha meant when he said, breathe in, contemplating release. The serious meditator breathes out, contemplating release. It's this release that points to what the Buddha was looking for. A dimension of knowing beyond space and time, beyond aging, illness, and death. So he called this secure space, this Kema, the unaging, the unailing, the undying, true security. It's this spaciousness that allows us to stop the process of war and strife that we contemplated on earlier. At any moment we can see the blindness inherent, lack of mindfulness and carefulness, and we can step back and be within our own true vast nature, unaffected by time and space. Let's all try it this week. Take moments to see the spaciousness and the openness, the freedom available, release in each moment. Thank you all so kindly for your attention this morning. Whatever you're going through, offer some words of comfort that it's impermanent. The way out. And the way out is the way in. as we heard it said so succinctly. The way in is further in, not creating opposition between in and out, going so in that there's only in, there's only now, there's only here, only presence. And all the wisdom comes from that. All the Buddhas arise from this teaching, from this knowing, this present moment awareness. You and I all share right now. There's no difference between the Buddha, between you, between anyone. This is our commonality, common language, which there's no separation, no strife, no war, only peace. May there be peace in this beautiful, beautiful world. May there be peace in this heart, which is not separate from the one. May it be the one thing, the one gift we can offer back to the world for all its gifts. It's this peace of non-resistance, non-separation, acknowledgement of commonalities. May all beings be free.